Hey, everybody. This is your daily dose of all things royal. Well, hello, my gorgeous, good looking friends. I'm back with another video, and today I am sure many, if not all, of my viewers are aware of who Lady Colin Campbell is and are possibly following her channel. She is a reliable source of truthful information about the royal family. In her most recent video, she spills quite a bit of tea on our favorite couple, and it's something I would like to talk about today in this video. According to Lady C, a reliable source, actually two sources, had told her that the Harkles have officially separated. For legal purposes, Lady C confirms that this is speculation and rumor only. There has been no confirmation from either party, Meghan or Harry, confirming or denying they have indeed separated. However, given the fact that Lady C's track record of being the first to call out many truths that started out as rumors, but then finally got validated through other forms of media, I'd like to believe that there is an element of truth and validity here with what she is reporting on. Over the last 2 days, the biggest question within this community that has come up is why hasn't the media picked up on this yet? I find it very strange that people are asking this question, considering that, well, at least for the US, our media is filled with so much propaganda. Any credible, unbiased journalism at this point is a bit scarce due to these celebrities and PR firms paying journalists to write flattering articles, or in some cases, like what Meghan Markle does, is weaponizing articles to push their own brand. We've seen Meghan Markle abuse her PR machine, exposing to the world that with money, you can buy any image you want to project. Meghan has aligned herself or had aligned herself with all the top media outlets here within the United States. No major media outlet is going to be reporting on this unless it has bubbled up. Right now, we're not there. Let's keep in mind that it has taken a few years before the media now is actually calling Meghan Markle a liar. Prior to that, they had tiptoed around even uttering those words out of fear because we know how litigious both Meghan and Harry are. So, to circle back on if this separation rumor is true, in my opinion, I believe that there is truth to it. And that's because I don't need a major news source to tell me what to think. As we know, the mainstream media, in many cases, definitely has broken the public's trust. And it is right now the citizen journalists who have now become the actual reliable sources. Based off of my observations alone, I have come to the conclusion that Meghan and Harry started the separation process since last year around November timeframe, 2021. 2021 had been filled with unfortunate events for the Harkles that backfired on them. Let's not forget the Oprah interview was in 2021, in which the blowback went on for months upon months. Let's remember that Harry was forced to choose his wife from grieving properly with his own family around Prince Philip's death, when he had to rush back to be with his allegedly pregnant wife who lost an uncle that she didn't even bother to reach out to give her sympathies. So it's reasonable to think that the animosity and resentment started to fester and begin, even though outwardly he might not be consciously aware of it. Subconsciously, he knew his wife's behavior was not right. Add in dealing with the grief on his own, as well as the shenanigans his wife had been playing with the phantom new baby, and those lies surrounding that situation. Combine that, then in November, the court exposed Meghan for being a liar, as well as Harry's deceit. I believe that that was a tipping point. It was on that same day when Meghan was exposed as a liar that Harry got on a Zoom call with Wired magazine to talk about spreading misinformation. Perhaps in some regards, Harry was forced to do this Zoom call with Wired magazine and talk about misinformation as an attempt to deflect from the bad publicity that Meghan was getting for being a liar and exposed in a court of law. Then the next day on the 10th, Meghan issues an apology for allegedly forgetting to include details that called her out for being a liar. So, doubling down, Harry is forced to be out in public with this giant bouncing red poppy as if nothing happened, as part of the facade management because they were filming for Netflix and the show had to go on. But knowing that Harry is a sensitive person, being humiliated in public like that must have been a source of tension for the couple. Then, the rest of November 2021, Meghan's PR engine ends up putting out puff piece after puff piece, saturating the media with all these sugary, stupid articles, even continuing to talk about her life as a royal and the work that she was doing as a royal. It was an effort to deflect and take away from the bad publicity that came from lying in court. But there was nothing mentioned about Harry. Even though Thanksgiving had just passed, there was no mention of the family getting together and having turkey with Doria. Then, next thing you know, at the very beginning of December, Harry pops up in San Francisco. And in one of my old videos, I pointed out that I had found a public record of Harry Mountbatten living 12 minutes away from the Better Up office. But that was the last time we saw Harry in the media for the year. Any puff pieces that surrounded the Harkles was pretty much centered around Meghan for the rest of the year. To refresh your memory, Meghan called the paparazzis to get photos of her doing final holiday shopping. Notice Harry is nowhere in the picture. Now, in that same month, the Harkles PR engine puts out a clickbait title that Meghan and Harry were splitting, but spinning the narrative that they were splitting their brand image, meaning their popularity would be better if they worked separately, which was the first indicator to me that something had been off. So at the beginning of 2022, what we started to see was separate pieces of Meghan and Harry, where Meghan was pushing out her own sugary puff pieces. Once in a while, we would see Harry have some puff pieces being pushed out. For the most part, though, it's been all Meghan. Even the stories that had so much drama surrounding it had been leaked by Meghan's PR team. With the pressure to produce something for Spotify, it was in March when Archetypes was announced to be dropping in the summertime. Notice there's no Harry anywhere for this project, even though when they first announced their partnership with Spotify, Harry was very much a part of this process. As you can see now, Harry is no longer a part of this process, and we start to see that the two of them are not in sync anymore. I believe part of the problem or reason why Harry and Meghan struggled to produce any type of content and took so long to get content together was because they have been having difficulties. And if they had been separated or started to drift apart, then it would make it very hard to film a reality show of their love together when the two of them are having difficulty. And I honestly believe that there had been a lot of fights that they didn't want caught on camera, or maybe they did catch it on camera and Meghan is dragging her feet with Netflix in preventing it from being aired. But one thing is for sure, it really says something when Meghan has to go out of her way to convince the audience of how in love the two of them are and redoing vows and showing this side of their love story as content for Netflix. We know that the reason why they've been struggling to do so is that they're not so in love anymore. And this is all about facade management. So after seeing Meghan time and time again make up these stories, this is going to be no different. The facade and storylines that she's trying to create is the picture that she wants painted of this happy life that she has, when in reality, it's far from it. She'd be delusional to think if the world sees and believes her garbage and bullshit. It is possible for the two of them to be separated, but have to come back together to film this content for the streaming giants because they are contractually obligated and they are struggling for money. So, of course, to some degree, Harry is going along with the advice of the business manager and the entertainment lawyer and all the other sharks that are surrounded him, taking his money away because he is pretty much handcuffed to this. It is obvious that Harry and Meghan are no longer in sync, and Meghan is using the media to passive aggressively take out her anger and resentment because everything that Meghan Markle has touched has blown up in her face. She's mad she didn't get the things that she wanted, and instead of blaming herself and taking accountability, she has taken out her anger onto both Harry and his family. If you love your spouse, you don't trash their family, people that mean something to them, unless you directly want to hurt your spouse, which I believe is the case because Harry had started to see the real Meghan Markle. Let's not forget Tom Bower's book came out and it was everywhere. It'd be almost impossible for Harry to believe his wife over all of the bombshells that were dropped in this book, and on top of it, the Queen approving this book move forward. Add in the weirdness of Harry playing polo on Archie's birthday, as well as taking a photo and spending the day with nachos on Father's Day. Meghan's nowhere to be found. Now, who could forget the bizarre polo season where, after the bullying report feedback came out and that it was going to be buried, all of a sudden now Meghan has friends, and the oversaturation of PR in the media highlighting their stupid friendship. Also, in the background, we see mysterious Marcus pop up, probably has been someone who has been helping Meghan behind the scenes this whole entire time, not only with the Phantom children, but plotting her next scheme. I wouldn't doubt that Marcus had a hand in these stupid podcasts. Let's be real, when the Jubilee time rolled around, these two showed up out of obligation for Netflix, and when they didn't get their way, threw a tantrum because she couldn't get her picture with the two Lilibets and forced Harry to leave his family and completely miss a once-in-a-lifetime event, all because of his bitch wife who couldn't stand not being the center of attention for a couple days. Does anyone believe that Harry's flight home was anything but miserable? I don't believe that when they came back from the Jubilee, Harry was aware that Meghan was going to drop this photoshopped picture of a baby that they claim is Lilibet. That appeared to me to be a complete disconnect between Harry and Meghan. Harry doesn't need to do that kind of stuff because he's already established with his status, unlike Meghan, who feels like she needs to be every single day the top of the news. It is clear that Meghan has been doing whatever she wants, and the last several months, Meghan has used her PR to promote herself, leaving Harry out to dry and setting him up to discredit him, making him look stupid and incompetent. If Meghan and Harry were getting along, then Meghan wouldn't be trying to steal all the spotlight and on purpose be devaluing and attacking Harry and his family in public so viciously. Now, I'm just speculating, but being that Meghan is the sociopathic narcissist, she plays games with Harry. And I'm sure when they have their blow up fights, when she doesn't get her way, she says things to threaten and hurt Harry. And then when he tries to come around and she realizes that she has the control back again, she then love bombs him. Or at least when she feels like he is slipping away, she reels him back in by love bombing him to get him to come back. And the cycle then starts all over again. Harry has got to be at a point of not being able to stand looking at Meghan after all she has done. I don't think that Harry just woke up all of a sudden and has seen the light. I think he has been seeing the light and it's about finalizing paperwork. I think the separation has been going on for a long time. From a paperwork standpoint, maybe that has been as a result of the book being the last straw that broke the camel's back, which sounds like it possibly could be the case. So this blind item came out yesterday and it says, unless both of them are using lawyers outside of Southern California, the illiterate one and her husband are not splitting. Here's something interesting that I want to bring up, and I brought this up in the past. Meghan and Harry do not have their marriage on record in the United States, and it's not recognized on paper in California. In order for that to happen, they would have had to have applied for this certificate to acknowledge this marriage. No, in California, to legally bind them when it's discussing property, etc., they had to have applied for this certificate in order for it to be registered. And currently, there isn't any public record on file. And because it was a public wedding, it would be considered a public record in the United States. I don't think that this is necessarily true. They have to be using lawyers in the UK because that's where their marriage is residing and that's where their entire life is residing. If you really think about it, neither of these two have a footprint of their union here in the United States being attached to one another. Their business, as well as their house, none of it is under their names. Listed as the chief executive officer and CFO are Andrew Meyer and Rick Geno. And it is possible that the trust that they have set up for the house, it could be under Doria's name. And part of the reason for not having a footprint and acknowledgement of this marriage in the United States is for tax purposes to avoid having the IRS want to audit and investigate both Meghan and Harry's finances, especially Harry's, and the royal family's finances, and opening up that Pandora's box. There's a very good reason as to why Meghan and Harry do not have their names listed anywhere tying themselves to that Archwell Foundation, aka 501c public charity. Now, if this rumor is true, which I do believe that to some extent it is true, part of the reason why they're not going full divorce is because of finances. Despite what you may be hearing, this has nothing to do with staying for the kids. This has everything to do with the finances and how they originally set up their business and those contracts that they signed with those streaming giants, Netflix, Spotify, and then the publishing house, Penguin. To enter into a divorce, it could get really messy and take a couple of years in order for it to be finalized. At this point, they're probably saying, let's just separate for it to be easy, whether they sit down and make an agreement to split the money 50-50 and then try and move on. I think at this point, if Harry has been initiating and distancing himself away from this woman, then Meghan is not going to put up a fight in agreeing to a separation versus a divorce because a divorce is going to get very messy. And right now, being that their brand is sort of on its last string, you've got all these other deals that they have on the table that can collapse should their brand collapse, meaning if they divorce. From a branding perspective, Meghan has more to lose than Harry because without Harry, Meghan is nothing. So take away that Duchess title and take away any connection to the royal family, aside from those children, if they really do exist. Meghan's back to square one of being a Z-list nobody. At least with the separation, there's still the possibility of getting back together, which at that point, if they are in a separation, in Markle's mind, probably gives her some time to think about how she's going to love bomb him again to get him back on the hook. Or at least just until she finds somebody else, and then she will end up divorcing him. Now, separation is not totally unbelievable. For the most part, it does appear that Meghan and Harry have been leading separate lives. And that shit show Olive Garden house that they live in, Harry's probably either in the pool house when Doria is not staying in the guest house, or he's in that guest house, and that's where he is doing all his business, whatever that may be, splitting the time between LA and San Fran, which would make sense if that was his apartment and that's where he was staying. Did you notice the pattern? Recently, Harry was in San Fran for that mental health summit or whatever leadership conference. And then all of a sudden, the same day, once again, Meghan has to steal the spotlight to show up somewhere shopping. Again, shopping. This is all she does is shop, 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 but no kids in sight, similar to what happened last year in November. And let's not forget, prior to the Queen passing away, there were many bizarre moments in the media that I suspect have been a result of Harry's wife trying to keep this sham of a relationship slash brand image going. Around the time Sunshine Sachs severed their relationship, Harry shows up randomly in Africa in a series of poorly photoshopped photos, and at the same time, Meghan leaks a photo of her mother and her with Archie in this bizarre Zoom shot, all an effort to pull attention back onto her as being a Black woman, because the next day, the first episode of Archetypes launched, in which Meghan managed to insult the people of South Africa. By insulting the people of Africa, she pretty much killed the one place that Harry found solace in escaping to or had closeness and ties to his mother. I will say it again. I don't believe Harry was ever in Africa. I believe Meghan did this as a publicity stunt because Harry was not there and maybe he was in San Fran. But the actual story and timeline of going to Africa for 3 days and then turning around to make it on time to be at a polo game in Colorado was suspect. In addition, Harry was coming back from wherever and he didn't have his polo gear. That would explain maybe being in San Fran and then going straight to the airport instead of having to go home and deal with this hot mess. Everything that they have been doing over the last year has been for the cameras. None of it does appear to be real. And I will bet that the trip or the fake tour in Europe where Meghan was doing her me, me, me speech at One Young World and then Harry going to speak at Invictus and then the Queen passing away, that disrupted their plans. And with them having to deal with this funeral, I think there's a level of codependency that still exists. And during that time, perhaps Harry did lean on Meghan because at that point, he really didn't have anybody else to lean on. As deplorable as this woman behaved, not only in the past, but during the funeral, Harry felt that it was better than having no one. I really do believe that the cut article was a direct attack on Harry. Now, follow me here for a second. If, let's say, at the time the cut article was done, Meghan and Harry had been separated as a result of Harry making the decision and seeing the true colors of Meghan, she decides to have revenge on him by making up these lies and putting these threats out of not having to sign an NDA and finding a diary with things that she had written in it. These little things that she had put out there not only were to possibly threaten Harry, but then also set the tone of what she possibly could do. Then, on top of it, I don't think it's a coincidence that Meghan dressed just like Harry's dead mother in order to get into his psyche, because knowing full well this was going to be released right before the 25th anniversary of Diana's passing. So, in some way, I do believe that this was a direct attack to Harry for now separating. Harry was not involved with that article. That was all Meghan. And when you look at everything put together, a snapshot over the last year and a half, I'm going to give Harry a little bit of credit. I find it impossible to think that Harry is so oblivious to everything that has happened over the last year and a half that he doesn't see at least a fraction of the deceit, the lies, and the manipulation of his wife. It'd be one thing if it was a rumor here or there, but when your wife is in the news every single day for making headlines, but making headlines for the wrong reasons, it makes it very difficult to ignore. Of course, Harry is affected from all the negativity that has been coming down. He wouldn't be human if it didn't affect him. And there you have it, folks. This is why I believe that the rumor is true that they have separated. Because now, if it's legally at the British court or the UK court to be finalized, then it's really just a matter of now setting the parameters and the financial aspects around it. Do I believe that this is some Machiavellian plot that Meghan has conjured up to take the heat off of Harry because of this book that's about to drop that could potentially get him removed from the line of succession and get not only his title removed, her title, as well as no titles for the kids? No, I don't think so. Meghan is a narcissist, and there's no way that she is going to want to be blamed for being the one pushing the lies, as well as facing the criticism of having her influence on Harry. Even though she is mostly responsible, she is not going to want to be put in a bad light. Meghan will not put others ahead of herself as priority, not Harry, and certainly not the children. Even though in the long run it would benefit her, in her deluded mind, she would think, well, I could do this on my own. I don't need them. I'll show them. This is the arrogance of Meghan Markle. She actually thinks that her brand and her voice hold some kind of weight and that she would be able to do this on her own. Another reason why I don't think that this is a plan designed by Meghan is that we have seen her not properly think through things, and everything that they have put out has backfired on them. Essentially, they always seem to be cutting their nose despite their face because they're not properly thinking things through. And in this situation, if the separation is to come across as it being a facade that, yes, Harry is dumping this woman so he can get back into the family, I don't think so. I don't think the family is that stupid to. What do you guys think about this rumor? Do you think it has any sort of substance or validity? Or do you think that this is some big PR scheme to throw out there to get people talking and hyped up for this book to come out? I don't know. I think it's a little bit of everything, but I do believe that they are no longer in love as so they say they are. But looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Leave them below. You know I will be back with more content, but until then, be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
It was such a fraud.